Honourable members, I must inform the Parliament in regards to a notice of motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister, Honourable James Marape, member for Tarik Pori Open, that was delivered to me today on the 27th November 2024 at 9:40 a.m. The Private Business Committee deliberated on the notice of motion of no confidence at 12:30 p.m. at the Speaker's Lounge. The committee is aware of the very important constitutional motion and the process for it. We also note that earlier this year, a motion of no confidence was placed on a notice paper and moved on the floor of Parliament against the same Prime Minister on the 12th of September 2024, and an absolute majority vote was decided against it. We also note that this is our constitutional right under Section 111, subsection 1 of the Constitution, where it states that, and I quote, "Any member of Parliament is entitled to introduce into the Parliament, in accordance with and subject to any reasonable restriction contained in the standing orders of the Parliament, a petition, a question, a bill, resolution or motion." Standing Order 165 is a renewable restriction which states under the heading Renewal of Motion, etc. The Speaker, subject to Standing Order 213, the Chairman of Committee, may, in his discretion, disallow any motion or amendment that is the same in substance as any question that during the previous of 12 months has been resolved in the affirmative or negative, unless the order, resolution or vote on the question has been rescinded. This motion of no confidence motion meets the requirement of Section 145 of the Constitution. Although the motion of a no confidence name a different alternative Prime Minister, its main purpose or question is the same substance. It is a notice of motion of no confidence against the same incumbent Prime Minister, Honourable James Marape. This was answered by Parliament with a majority vote of 75 against 32 for it on the 12th September 2024 during the previous 12 months. For this, the above reason, it will not be placed on a notice paper. Thank you. Honourable Member for Sinai, what's your point of order?
Yes, my point of order is the continuous perversion of the processes of this Parliament by the so-called Private Business Committee. Now, earlier this morning, in support of various debates, we said...
Honourable Member for Sinai Yangumul, I would ask you to withdraw this statement by saying the so-called business parliament. This committee is not privately being appointed, put up by the Speaker. It's something that Standing Order have allowed for.
No, I was referring to the Private Business Committee. Are we talking about the proceedings of the Private Business Committee? If so, I'm trying to explain the opposition's response to the ruling through this point of order.
Honourable Member, if you want to do an explanation and ask for that, I will not allow for.
It's a point of order.
It's a point of order. If you want
it's a
to
point
see
of
a point of order, I'm only delivering what the committee have decided for.
Well, we're entitled to raise a point of order to any pronouncements you make from the chair. Whether it is in order or not in order, we have an entitlement. Whether it is a pronouncement of the government or any committee of the Parliament, we as the King's, His Majesty's royal opposition over here and loyal, we have an entitlement to raise a point of order. And you ought to listen to us. We have that right.
What's your point of order? Go ahead.
So the point of order is this. Number of points. Number one, this is a constitutional motion. Number one, keep that in mind. Number two, there are restrictions on what matters the PBC can consider and not consider. Your jurisdiction as the PBC under Standing Order 22 is confined to just two limited areas. Number one is you have to consider whether it's parochial, and number two, you have to consider whether it's in the national interest. You can't consider any legal provisions outside of the requirements of Standing Order 22. You cannot even rely on the other provisions of the standing orders. So here, your ruling is very clear. You are not saying this matter is parochial, therefore is rejected. You haven't said that. You're relying on Section Standing Order 165, which you cannot, to say that it's the same substantive motion. So I will the committee has decided to reject it. That is wrong. You can't even go to Standing Order 165. You are confined to Standing Order 22. Now, the only basis on which you can reject it, or the PBC can, is to tell this Parliament that it's parochial. You have not used that word. You've gone well outside that jurisdiction, or the committee has. And that is wrong. We've been saying we are a country of laws. We said it this morning. So we must stick to the laws. And the law says if it is not parochial, then you got to allow it to go through. And you can't raise a point of order upon a point of order.
Honorable member for Sinisina Yangu, honorable member for Sinisina, I by today deliver to you the decision of the committee. And
I'm registering myself because I will rely upon it in court if I have to go to court.
I've seen your point of order is being raised like
recording my
debating.
Objection, my committee's point of order here, so that we can say when we go to court, the court will not tell us you've waived your right or you have been stopped by your silence from raising it in the chamber, therefore you cannot raise it in court. So I'm registering here to pave the way for me to raise it in court. You have to understand that. So you've got to allow me to complete my 165.
The honourable member have already made himself clear that he wants to use this to place to himself what he wants to place on record in Parliament, so I'll allow him to raise that. But the decision of the committee I've already announced.
Correct. Thank you, Deputy. So Section 165 talks about the rejection of motions that are of the same substance in form. This motion is not the same motion in substance. It names a completely different alternative prime minister. So you cannot rely on Section 165 of the Standing Order to say it's the same motion in substance or material form. You can't say that. It names a completely different alternative prime minister. So you've taken the other side of the coin to say it has not named a different prime minister. The prime minister is still the current prime minister, but that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, which varies by virtue of the character of the motion, is that you have a new alternative. So that makes it substantially different. Thank you.
Thank you, honourable member, for sitting on your point of order. Your point of order is noted. The decision I've delivered is the decision of the committee, which I would not deliberate anymore on this. So we'll move on to the order of this day. The Honourable Minister for Justice and Attorney General. Clerk? Oh.
Order of the day, number 98, Constitutional Amendment, Motions of No Confidence Law, 2024, Minister for Justice and Attorney General, second reading, first required opportunity for debate and first vote.
Minister for Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 22B, I now commence the first required opportunity to debate.
Make your speech.
Nah. Mr. Speaker and members of this Honorable House, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce the national... sorry, he said... Mr. Speaker, I sincerely apologize once again. I have a number of legislations to present and I read the wrong one. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present to this Honorable House and the people of Papua New Guinea this proposed law to alter the Constitution by amending Section 145, motion of no confidence of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, this proposed law seeks to amend Section 145 by including a new subsection as subsection 5 that reads, where a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister is unsuccessful, a subsequent motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister or the Ministry after the unsuccessful motion of no confidence shall not be moved for another period of 18 months, commencing on the date that the motion of no confidence is unsuccessful. Mr. Speaker, this proposed amendment is effect set an 18-month time frame or the grace period following an unsuccessful motion of no confidence. Currently, there's no such time frame in place following an unsuccessful vote of no confidence. Mr. Speaker, this raises a political volatility which may follow, bearing in mind that a subsequent vote of no confidence following an unsuccessful vote of no confidence can be moved again and again against the Prime Minister at any time.
It's a democracy.
Mr. Speaker, the opportunity to move... Mr. Speaker, the opportunity to move subsequent vote of no confidence anytime after the unsuccessful vote of no confidence can diminish political stability and result in a loss of confidence in the government and the political leaders. Inhibited the government's ability to progress its long-term programs and plans for the country, and may lead to unrest amongst the people. This will also have adverse effect on investor confidence and the public service machinery confidence. Mr. Speaker, Section 145 of the Constitution provides for process by which a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister can be moved. Section 145(4) of the Constitution, in particular, provides that a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister or in the ministry may not be moved during the period of 18 months, commencing on the date of appointment of the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Section 154, subsection 4 is 155, subsection 4 is construed in a manner which recognizes the need to give government ample time to settle in and prepare its programs and plans to lead the country. It prevents no confidence motions in the Prime Minister and the ministry for the first 18 months after the Prime Minister is appointed. Following the lapse of the 18 months in grace period, a vote of no confidence can be moved. Mr. Speaker, the reference to appointment of the Prime Minister in Section 145(4) must be read in conjunction with Section 142(2) of the Constitution. Minister not getting up. Get appointed, and therefore, by operation of Section 145, subsection 4 of the Constitution, the 18 months grace period does not automatically restart. Mr. Speaker, it is therefore important to ensure that government stability is not continuously following an unsuccessful vote of no confidence. Noting most of no confidence can be moved at any time. Mr. Speaker, the amendment must give the incumbent Prime Minister a grace period of 18 months from the date of the unsuccessful vote of no confidence. Is similar to some similar scenario where a new Prime Minister appointed following a successful vote of no confidence, who would have 18 months with grace period from this appointment. Mr. Speaker, this continuously vote of no confidence, it's bring instability to the country. Instability to the country. If you practice, this one is the same thing. It was practiced, vote was taken last parliament. Now it's another one coming on. Tomorrow it's another one. So instability is caused. So we must, as members of parliament, must be responsible. So therefore, this amendment is an important amendment for the interests of this country. And I commend the bill.
The Honourable Member for Irwina. The Honourable Member for Hearing.
Thank you, Speaker. I take note of the proposed amendment to the Constitution brought by the Attorney General, and wish to debate with some thoughts. From the outset, Mr. Speaker, I would like to just express here that it is indeed a sad day for democracy in this country. Yes. Since 1975 to date, I think this government has been one of the only governments that has brought multiple constitutional amendments. And this one beats them all. Why that is the case is this, Mr. Speaker. The founding fathers of the Constitution will tell us that the Section 145 provision was inserted as a pressure valve for the people of Papua New Guinea through their mandated leaders to express dissent in the event that observations of management of the economy and the country is not on to